Oh, hi everyone. My name is Dr. Giuliana Ferri, and I'm the course leader for the BA Early Years Education and the BA Education Studies here at the University of West London. And today I'm going to introduce the two programs, and I'm going to talk about the two degree programs. So first of all, I'm going to introduce the team here in the Education Department at the University of West London. This Professor Marcia Worrell, who's the head of education, Dr. Victoria Mann, who's a lecturer in education, and her research focuses on literacy and language in education, and she teaches particularly on the modules on research methods, observation, assessment, and literacy. There's Dr. Michael Broll, who researches in the area of special educational needs and autism, and is also our foundation year tutor. And there's me, Dr. Giuliana Ferri. As I said, I'm the course leader for the Early Years Education program and the Education Studies program. I have extensive experience of teaching in primary schools in London. Before becoming an academic, I was a primary school teacher. And so when I teach, I like to always link the learning and the theories to my own professional experience of teaching in foundation stage and also in Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 in primary schools in inner London, working with students from a variety of backgrounds, students with special educational needs, with learning disabilities, and also students with English as an additional language. So today, I'm going to talk about the two courses, and also I will discuss the different professions that are available to graduates in the Early Years Education Studies and in Education Studies programs. And I'm also going to talk about work experience embedded within our courses. So first of all, just a quick outlook on the two courses. So early years education and education studies do overlap in some sense, as some of the modules are in common. For example, learning theories or introduction to education modules. However, the focus is slightly different. So the early years education program focuses particularly on early childhood and children from 0 to 7 years old. So that means that it covers particularly foundation stage and the first 2 years of primary school. Whereas the BA Education Studies focuses on older children in the upper primary age, so Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2, and also on older learners, and in particular, higher education learners. So I'm going to go into detail now on the two courses. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the Early Years Education course. So in this program of study, we look at different aspects of childhood and child development. For example, we analyze issues around safeguarding, looking at legislation and how the legislation is applied to real-life scenarios that will help you understand the importance of keeping children safe from harm and also looking after children's well-being. You will also learn about child development, so how children develop in the different stages of learning. We will look at how education is impacted by multiculturalism and also working in multicultural classrooms. As I said, I do have extensive experience at working in inner London multicultural schools. So I do teach on these modules, and I always like to illustrate the learning and the theory with my own professional experience in the area. We also look at inclusion. And because we have an expert on the team who researches special educational needs and particularly autism, we can provide up-to-date teaching that is tuned with current research. And also we provide teaching around becoming a leader, practitioner in early years settings. So an example of some of the modules that you will study in the early years program are the rights of the child. So that would be looking at the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, looking at the inclusion and equality policies that relate to teaching young children with disabilities or special educational needs. Looking at the role of childhood in society, so how children are seen in different contexts in society. And another module would be lifespan development, which will help you understand how children grow and develop. The other program, the BA in Education Studies, as I said, focuses on older learners, including children in the upper stages of primary schools, also older learners in secondary, further education and higher education. So this course focuses more on psychological theory, and in particular, how do people learn? How to create effective learning environments and assessing learning. Other areas of focus would be looking at the Equality Act, for example, and how different groups of learners face discrimination on the basis of age, race, gender identity, or religion, and how discrimination can be tackled in educational settings. Also, we will look at disability rights, and also how vulnerable groups are at risk of underachievement in education. For example, the rights of young people who are in foster care. And another aspect, which is similar to the early years program, is looking at leadership. So how to become an effective practitioner in a range of different settings, from schools to youth centers and community centers. So some examples of modules in the Education Studies programs would be learning theories, so learning about how different theories of learning are applied to different groups of people, looking at the rights of disabled people, studying the Equality Act to ensure that you are up to date with current legislation regarding the rights of people from diverse backgrounds. And so the focus is very much on equality and social justice in education. One aspect that is very prominent in both early years and education studies is the idea of experiential learning, and that means to embed practice into theory. So in the second year, we offer a placement module in an educational setting of your choice. That means that you will be required to spend at least a minimum of 30 hours in an educational setting, which could be a nursery or a primary school or a further education college or a community center or a youth center. It would be an educational setting that interests you. And so what will you do in these 30 hours would be to reflect on what you see, reflect on the practice of others, but also to start reflecting on your own practice. You will be given a set of guided activities that will help you to reflect on the learning that you do in class and to apply your learning in a practical setting. And what we do is also we encourage students to work part-time or to volunteer for a range of different organizations. And we are creating links with external organizations to provide you with the opportunity to practice the learning and the theory that you do in class. So one example of the opportunity that we give students to practice and to gain valuable experience to enhance your employability is the pyramid intervention. We do run this intervention in the University of West London, and all students have the opportunity to train, to work, to volunteer for this pyramid intervention. And what the pyramid does is helps students who are in the age range of 17 to 14, who are shy and withdrawn in the classroom. And so the intervention helps children to work together in groups, in after-school clubs, and to help them with their achievement and to become more confident in themselves. So all students can complete their placement module with Pyramid, or they can volunteer throughout the year after receiving training from the University of West London. So in terms of employability, which is one of the main focuses of both programs here at the University of West London, there's a range of opportunities for graduates. And the most prominent is perhaps teaching. So for students who are in the early years education program, there's the option at the end of the 3 years program to complete an early years initial teacher training to become qualified teachers. And there's two options. One is to become a primary school qualified teacher or an early years practitioner. Also, private schools and private nurseries do not require qualified teacher status. So that means that you could actually start teaching at the end of the 3 years without qualified teacher status. So you can work in nurseries, in preschools, in reception classes, and in the lower primary phase. That would be year 1 and year 2. So what does primary school teaching look like? So first of all, we do recommend that you complete a qualified teacher status program at the end of the 3 years program, and that you can teach in foundation stage or in upper primary, meaning Key Stage 2, so children from 7 to 11 years old. And what does teaching entail? Well, there's a range of different duties that all teachers need to perform on a daily basis. So from the very obvious ones around preparing and delivering lessons, to include children from a range of abilities, to marking work and giving feedback. And also organizing and managing the classroom and learning environment. And this is what we try, these are the skills that we endeavor to give our students in the 3 years here at the University of West London through a range of modules. We provide you with knowledge around inclusion, around leadership, managing different environments, and observing and assessing children. Also, when you become a teacher, you have to provide pastoral support to students. You need to liaise with parents, with the wider community, with other professionals, and you need to take part in extracurricular activities. And again, we do provide modules in the program to help you undertake all those duties by looking at safeguarding, for example, or looking at how children from diverse backgrounds are included in the classroom. But as I said, teaching is not the only profession open to graduates from both early years and education studies. There's also other professions such as becoming youth workers or family support worker, or becoming a learning mentor in schools. But there's also other education-related professions, such as working in human resources universities or for private training companies. And on top of becoming a qualified teacher, there's also further qualifications apart from qualified teacher status, for example, becoming a career advisor or working or social work, or there's further training in becoming a play therapist, so helping children with special educational needs or learning disabilities through play, and child psychology. And so the way in which we encourage employability for our students is throughout the course, throughout the modules, to always ensure that our professional values are always transmitted to our students. We also encourage our students always to behave professionally and to develop all the employability skills throughout the courses. So we encourage students to work together in teams, to develop their communication skills, and also we help them with becoming proficient in using time management and in problem solving through real life scenarios that bring learning to life. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, you can follow Twitter and the link that will be provided online.